Hi, guys. Welcome back to the podcast. Today I'm talking about 10 ways that I've turned my home into my very own five-star hotel. And there is no big budget required. In fact, a lot of the things I'm talking about are either so cheap or completely free. But I'm going to run you through 10 things that I have genuinely done that have made a big difference. So I just want you to think about this question. Five-star hotel sounds very appealing, right? But what is it that a five-star hotel actually sells us? Well, the truth is, it's not so much about the bed or the pool or the restaurant. It's really that feeling of being taken care of, right? That signal to your body and your brain that you are allowed to rest and relax and everything will be taken care of. And you know that feeling if you've been to a five-star hotel or any hotel that you really enjoyed, where you arrive and maybe you've had a long day of traveling and you smell like aeroplanes and it's all really gross. And then you walk into the lobby and it's like your shoulders fall and you just feel so relaxed. That is the feeling that we're trying to emulate in our own homes. And it is easier than you think. And I can tell you that you do not need a Four Seasons budget or a six-bedroom home to make this work. You just need a plan, a few very clever purchases, and then the willingness to treat yourself like a five-star guest in your own home. So I've also created a document with all the things that I've talked about today, including links wherever relevant to where you can buy the things that I've talked about. So you can just head to the show notes and find that in there. And as I go through this, I want you to hear me that luxury isn't about money. So we're going for luxury experiences here, but it doesn't have to be expensive. It might be a £12 eucalyptus shower spray, or it might be a bath tray that you got from Amazon. Those things can actually do more for your mental state than going to a spa day that you had to rush home from. In fact, I'll tell you a story. I went on an overnight spa trip about 3 months ago, but it was about an hour and a half away. And I don't really love driving particularly far. I don't like driving on motorways. I ended up taking this ridiculous route to get there. And when I arrived at the spa resort, I was so stressed. I was actually like shaking just because I'd had very high stress levels for the previous hour. And then I had the same thing on the way home. I had 24 hours there, felt really nice and relaxed, and then got really stressed on the drive home. So I'm not saying let's not do spa days and spa weekends, but I feel like there are also better ways that we can incorporate it into our daily life without have it bookended by stressful situations. And I think what works so well in the hotels is that it's about a signal that kind of runs throughout the whole place. You feel this message, whether it's through the things you see, you hear, you smell, you get this message saying it's okay to relax, it's okay to slow down, just be here. And you feel it in the bedrooms, you feel it in the corridors, you feel it in the way they've thoughtfully set out the beach area, you feel it throughout. And it's really easy to replicate at home. You just need to decide to do it. So let me get into the 10 things that I've done that have made a difference. Now, I was recently on holiday in California and we spent 2 nights at this really high end resort. And the spa there had a eucalyptus steam room, which was just a standard steam room. But before you went in, the lady opened the door and would just spray it 4 or 5 times with this eucalyptus oil. Oh my God, it was the best steam room I've ever had. And I really like a steam room. You walk into that one and you just feel surrounded by wellness. And as well as that, every time you breathe in, it feels like you're breathing the goodness inside of you. It felt so luxurious. And I tell you what, I walked out of there, went outside to the pool to find my husband, and he was like, "You smell amazing. Like, what have you been doing?" And I was raving about it straight away. I was saying, we have to buy eucalyptus spray. So you can just get this on Amazon. You can get it anywhere. You don't have to have a steam room for it to work. You can just spray it in your shower anywhere where there's steam, because the steam activates the aromatherapy oil. And honestly, it is the most luxurious thing. If you start your day with your shower, having a little eucalyptus spray, it's going to change everything. So trust me on this. So the second thing might be slightly controversial, because some people would probably tell you that if you're having a bath, you should be relaxing and away from screen time. But I get so bored in baths. I never had baths for years and years and years, because I was like, well, I'm just laying here. What do I do now? I just didn't really get it. But it all changed when I got a bath tray. So now, instead of sitting in a bath for 10 minutes, feeling really like awkward and uncomfortable and bored, it's now a 40-minute, really enjoyable thing that I do several times a week. So you can get loads of these bath trays. They're all over the place. I actually did loads of research for mine, but you have to get one that is big enough for your laptop, and then ideally big enough on either side for the things that you need, like your glass of wine, your snacks. Point is, if you can make your bathroom into a space that makes you really happy, whatever that looks like, then it really changes something from a kind of bathing ritual to a self-care ritual. So for me, I'm in there, I'm watching probably Real Housewives, or I'm watching whatever documentary or limited series I'm watching on Netflix at the moment. I've often got wine on the go, always bubbles, and it just changes everything. It really becomes something I look forward to. And if you don't already do this, let me tell you, buy a bath tray on Amazon today. By next Friday, you could be sitting there, glass of red wine, little bowl of lint balls, Dirty Dancing on your TV. Bliss. I mean, tell me that isn't a Friday night that you're going to be looking forward to. So the point is, whatever it looks like for you, you've set up to really be in there properly and spend some time rather than it being something you're just rushing through. So number 3, and this actually comes back to something that I feel really strongly about, which is if there's something that you love that you come across, try and find ways to incorporate that into your life, whether it's a hobby or something in your home or food, whatever it is. One example of one of the ways I've done this is when we got our kitchen done up last year, I'd noticed that my husband and I were always really drawn to kind of high-end wine fridges in people's kitchens. Just for whatever reason, that's something, if we go into someone's house and they have one of those, or even a restaurant or anything like that, we're always like, oh my God, look at the wine fridge. So the number one priority when I did our kitchen is like, I wanted a hands-free, nice-looking wine fridge at eye level as soon as we walked in, because I knew that was something that would make us happy every time we walked into the kitchen. And it's been a year and it still does. But in terms of what we're talking about today, this is much more recent, but I just went to California. We were traveling around kind of northern California, but not right up the north, sort of San Fran, Bay Area, Carmel Valley. And one thing we noticed was that every single place we went to had a fire pit. Now, I don't know if you've traveled around there, but honestly, every hotel, every restaurant, just like random spaces, they have fire pits everywhere. And every time we saw one, we were so drawn to it. You know, we wanted to sit by the fire pit and have breakfast. We wanted to light the fire on the bar terrace in the evenings when we were drinking our wine. So when we got home, I thought, hey, why don't I try and incorporate that into our life here? So I did. I went out, bought a fire pit, bought some chairs from Costco to go around the outside. And hey presto, we've got this area in our garden that feels really exciting to us, really luxurious to us. It reminds us of this great trip we went on. And it's going to be something that will grow with our family. So at the moment, my boys will enjoy looking at it and toasting marshmallows. And when they're teenagers, I can see that they're going to be sat around it with their friends. It's also going to be a way to bring our friends together. And it's going to be a way for us to use the garden on the colder nights when usually we wouldn't even think about going outside, because everyone is drawn to a fire pit. So that's not necessarily the cheapest. In fact, this is the most expensive idea that I've got on this podcast today, but it's definitely an investment that's going to be with us for 10 years plus. My challenge to you on this, I suppose, is to think about, like, what is that thing that you see or your family see and you're always drawn to, and you always think, oh, it's so cool. I love it when we go to high-end hotels and they have X. I love this in the bedrooms. I love how their restaurants always feel like this or have this when you enter. And then think, how can I put that in my home? And why am I not doing that already? Like, why don't I? We don't have to escape our homes to feel looked after and evoke that feeling of luxury. Okay, number 4 is to buy the nice candles, and not just that, my friends, but burn them. The candles want to be burned. It's their purpose. You need to help them fulfill their purpose. So many people will buy candles and just keep them on the side, looking really nice. But why aren't we making our homes not just look nice, but smell nice too? And there's also something about the psychology of doing something where the only purpose is to make you feel special. I mean, that's pretty huge. So I would say this: burning your best candle on a Tuesday is not wasteful. It's actually the whole point. My favorites are, I like a lot of neon candles. The neon happiness candle is a really good one. And the diptyque baize, I don't know if I'm saying that right, baize, love it. It is so fresh. Yes, it costs something like £60 for a candle, but the scent it puts into the air, the way it makes you feel calm, is honestly money really, really well spent. And then number 5 is also on the same vein about scent as a way to change the room. So Think beyond candles. How else can you change it? Can you have reed diffusers in your hallway so that when guests come in, they're hit by this wonderful smell? Can you use those little oil burners with essential oils in the top? The neon diffusers, again, are really, really good. I've got one in my bedroom and I put it on almost every single night. I set it for 2 hours, put on some lavender essential oils. Oh, it's just absolutely bliss. So we use actually all of these, everything I'm talking about. And then also room sprays. We use them particularly if someone's coming round, we'll spritz the air. I've got one that's just for the living room, so that has a different scent. And I'll spritz all the furniture, so it smells really good. And the other thing about this is talking about amazing experiences we have on holidays and wanting to replicate that. You can genuinely bring that home with you. Because when you think about walking through a hotel, you're so often hit by these amazing smells. We went to a hotel in Thailand for my 40th called The Slate, and they had oil burners everywhere, like in our bedroom, in various places, in all the corridors, all the public spaces. It smelled absolutely amazing to the point where we went to the shop, bought a load of room sprays and oils in the exact same scents that they were using in the hotel. We were also gifted some from the hotel, which was amazing. And I am 43 now. So that's over 3 years ago. And we've used some of them up, but some are still going. And just think about that. I can spray this room right now, and the smell will take me back to that specific hotel in Thailand where I celebrated my 40th birthday with my family. I mean, that's pretty amazing. So that is a top tip. If you go somewhere and it smells great, find out what the smell is and then buy some for your home. And then the other thing about hotels that makes them feel much more luxurious is really it's about the linens as well. It's about the towels, the dressing gowns, the bed sheets that they use. And that's something else that's really easy to recreate at home. So throw away your supermarket sheets. Please throw away your supermarket duvet covers. There are so many better options out there, and it doesn't have to be super expensive. There are lots of affordable options that feel much more luxurious. So M&S do a really, really nice range. The White Company is our favorite. They have sales a lot. I know they are slightly more pricey, but they do have sales a lot. And honestly, the bed sheets, when you get into them, feel so good. Number 7 is the kind of robe and slippers ritual. So if you think when you're in a really nice hotel, you've been out doing something all day, maybe you've been working, maybe you've been sightseeing, maybe it's that kind of holiday. And there's something about you get into the room, you take off your shoes, take off your clothes, maybe you have a shower, and you get into the nice, comfy robe and slippers, and it's signaling to yourself that you're transitioning from a doing person to a being person. And now you're in a zone of relaxation. So, again, really easy to do at home. If you haven't already got a nice robe, then maybe think about upgrading it. And then the other thing is don't keep it shoved on the back of some door somewhere. Have it out, have it accessible, have a little hook somewhere. Maybe have your slippers underneath, just like you'd have in a hotel. That's calling out for you to get into at the end of the day. Makes a difference, trust me. Okay, number 8 is lighting. Let's ditch the overhead lights. Overhead lights are about productivity, they're about doing, they're about being efficient. And when we're relaxing, when it's the evening or it's the weekend, we want to change that. So let's do wellness lighting, which is low and it's warm. It might be lamps, it might be little side lights, it might be fairy lights, but that's a simple swap that costs nothing. Okay, number 9 is a decent coffee or tea ritual. Now, here's the thing about 5-star hotels. They're not giving you Nescafe. They're not giving you a mug with a spoon and a little sachet of Nescafe. And you can recreate this at home. So a good coffee machine, a coffee station. I built a coffee station in my kitchen. I love it. There's nothing fancy to it. It's just one area where all my coffee making stuff is. It's right by the door. It's the first place I get to when I go into the kitchen. This space, it's not cluttered. It feels really special when I stumble down there in the morning because making coffee is the very first thing I do. And it's now become this really beautiful ritual. And the other thing is get rid of all your old chip mugs that don't mean anything to you and invest in a couple of coffee cups that feel really luxurious. We actually use these Nespresso handleless bamboo ones. They are so good. They feel luxurious. And again, we found these because we were drinking coffee in a really nice coffee shop one day and they served the coffee in those. We were like, these are really nice. And rather than leaving that thought there, I thought, okay, how do I get these in my home so it feels luxurious every time I drink a coffee at home? Really simple little things. And once you start thinking this way, you're going to realize that it keeps coming up like, oh, I really love this thing. How can I incorporate it into my daily life at home? And my final one is sound. So that's the other thing that when you walk into a hotel lobby and you picture one in your mind, whether it is a big business hotel that's high end, like a Grand Hyatt or something, or whether it is a spa retreat in Bali, all open air with the tropical plants surrounding you. The one thing that they all have in common is the sound that you hear. The music that they're playing is actually creating a big part of that feeling, even if you don't realize it. So go on Spotify, look up luxury spa playlists, look up hotel lobby playlists, and start adding some intentional background music into your home, and you'll see that it makes a difference. And this is the cheapest possible upgrade because it's totally free. So I'd love to know if this has inspired you to find either some of the ways I've talked about or some little tweaks you can make where you're taking an idea that means a lot to you and incorporate it into your home life. So find me over on Instagram. I'm by Sophie Atten, and let me know because I'll respond to everybody. And I really want to know what you're doing because you might inspire me. And I'm always looking for new ideas. And don't forget, I have created a document with everything I've talked about here and links to all the specific products I've talked about. So it's really easy for you to go and find if there's something that you like that I talked about. Just click in the show notes. Finally, just remember, this is not about having a big house. This is not about having a big budget. It's just about deciding that your everyday life is worth making special and showing up for. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next time. Bye.